Morning, everybody. This is Phil Beckwith, your professional painter and decorator. Phil Beckwith, the professional painter and decorator on YouTube. Today, we're back on the flat renovation. Well, I'll say renovation. We're doing it up. We're refurbing it. And it's now time to come onto the main drag hall passageway, whatever you want to call it. Now, you've seen the thumbnail, and yeah, this is an interesting one because Benjamin Moore. Have you heard of Benjamin Moore? If you're in the UK, it's probably a name you might not have heard of. Those that are in the know, those that are the painters and decorators, professional painters and decorators that do use varied brands probably already know of Benjamin Moore. But if you don't know about Benjamin Moore and you're a DIYer, you're an amateur, or you're a professional amateur painter and decorator, Benjamin Moore actually was a guy, a little bit like Farrow and Ball. There's Mr. Farrow, Mr. Ball. But Benjamin Moore was Benjamin Moore. Now, he started the company in 1906 back in Canada. 1917, he stepped down at the age of 62, passed it on to his nephew. Roll on to the year 2000, that got sold out and bought and swallowed up by the Berkshire Hathaway company. Is that who it is, Berkshire Hathaway? Now you're going to say, who are they? Well, let's just say they're massive. They're a big company that take, well, I'll say smaller companies, take companies in, and there's a big, yeah, let's just say they're quite big. They own shares in Coca-Cola, they own shares in Kraft Heinz, they own shares in Apple. They are massive. They've got a massive workforce, and obviously you're looking at billions of turnover US dollars each year. So yeah, if you're in the UK, you've probably not heard of Benjamin Moore, but if you're in America, you know probably loads about Benjamin Moore. But today I'm going to use Benjamin Moore Ben, which I'm going to say thanks very much, because you know a lot of the paints I have to buy myself, but I do get the odd phone call from somebody who says, Phil, I've managed to get you a tin of paint. Now, whether it's from Mike on the decorating forum who gives me a shout out, but also I have some paint reps that say, Phil, can you try this out for us? We've got a gallon for you, or 2.5 litres. Now, I'm going to say thanks to Gary over at Brewers. Now, Gary, if you're watching, thank you very much. Gary's one of the regional reps around the Nottinghamshire, East Midlands area. I've known Gary since the mid-90s when he used to work for W. Robinson stroke Dulux in Nottingham, and then he's part of company with Dulux, and now he's with Brewers, doing very similar sort of thing, paint repping, smoozing, and whatever you want to call it, keeping decorators sweet, hopefully. And he contacted me a couple of weeks ago and says, Phil, have you heard of Benjamin Moore? Well, yes, I've heard of Benjamin Moore, but I've not tried the paint. He'd managed to get me a gallon, which is a US gallon, which is just shy of 4 litres. So blinking heck, hope I've got enough paint. And I've had it mixed up to a Farrow and Ball colour. Now, I wasn't too worried whether it was a match on a Farrow and Ball. It's just a shade of colour, Savage Ground, that I was going to be using on here, using Tikkurila Optiva 5. And I thought to myself, no, if I got the opportunity to use another paint, what better opportunity than using it on the flat refurb. So Benjamin Moore Ben has been kindly gifted by Gary over at Brewers to try out. I know he shouts out to a few of the decorators and says, can you try this, can you try that? So I'm not special. I don't feel special. Oh, sometimes I feel special. It's not special like that, but you know what I mean. And yeah, so I'm going to try this. If you've not heard of Benjamin Moore Ben, it's an interior paint. Hard wearing. I'm going to say it's not on the verge of tough matte like we've used in the passageway down there, but it is a scrubbable. It can take a bit of wear and tear. It's dry. It's supposedly dry within an hour, depending on conditions, and recoat 2 hours. So hopefully today, I mean, I'm on a Saturday morning, working weekends again. I'm hoping that this morning I can get a coat on the walls, and this afternoon we could probably get another coat on and bring this forward. Now, hopefully, it's going to be dry enough for 2 coats, but I will be leaving this end wall, which is there, because that's the wall that I'm planning on doing gold leaf. Watch this space. Hopefully, watch this space. So I've only not got a big area. I'm hoping that just under 4 litres, that American US gallon of paint's going to be enough. Now this one, I am going to be brush and roll. I don't do that daft little mini rolling around the top because I do cut in quite close with my main roller. I'll be cutting in with a 2.5 inch / oval cut on the Arrowworthy Classic, and today's roller of choice will be the Two Fussy Blokes microfiber roller that you've seen probably, I don't know whether you've seen on previous videos, but I have been trying that out as well. It's quite a nice finish. It gives a low orange peel effect when it's dried out, so fingers crossed that's going to be all right. So nothing complicated about that. I've listened to you. I know some of you are sick of seeing me doing a bit of painting, so this is going to be the talky bit. I'm going to paint it, and then once I've painted it all out, I'll finish off with the talky bit, and we'll just have a bit of a discussion. And I know some of you are mentioning about how resilient, hard wearing some paints are. When I get to the end of this video series in the playlist about this flat renovation all the way through, I know that there's certain walls that are going to get damaged and I'm going to be retouching in. So the summing up of how hard wearing paints are and what they are, what they're actually like for touching in and touching up, will be discussed at the very end of this project, because we know a big factor with paints are what they like to touch up if they get damaged, or marking, so things like that. So I'm going to crack on. I'll see you in a few hours. I'll re-talk to you when I've done it. You don't need to see me painting. You've seen plenty in that playlist of me painting walls, so nothing complicated on that. But what I will say is all my woodwork at the minute is rubbed down, and it's got a coat of 123 on it just as a grip primer, because I've told you before that all the woodwork was oil eggshell. My walls have been Mercer sanded down. Filling up was done a number of weeks ago, and any filling you probably see I've touched over, probably with a Witter 123 or a little bit of the emulsion paint that I used. That was on that video there, Valspar Trade Matte, Valspar Trade Vinyl Matte. Did quite like it. Yeah, it's flashing like a Belisha beacon. That's my terminology. It flashes like a Belisha beacon in certain lights, but on the whole I look at it and it looks fine. It was brushed. That was on there. And I'll see you later on. I'm waffling. See ya. True to my word, I said I wouldn't show you any painting, so I'm not showing you any painting, but what I've done, I've lifted off the radiator because they're on the flexi pipes. I could say flexi, let's just hope that they don't pop off. They're on the plastic pipes. I've managed to lift it off. I've just propped it up with the step up. Now I've painted just at the back, and I'll give it another coat later on, then that can go back. First initial thoughts of this paint, I didn't thin it. It's gone on quite nicely. It feels quite thin actually brushing and applying it. One of the characteristics that I've read about and what people have told me is the good coverage that you get from one coat. Now I'm going to say fingers crossed over this colour wash, I'm expecting it to look quite covered. So 2 coats won't be a problem. So fingers crossed on that one. What I will just mention, particularly when you're doing refurbs and just general painting, when you get that first coat of paint on, it'll probably show up imperfections that you didn't see when you went around filling up the walls prior to actually applying your first coat of paint. So be aware that, I mean, I'm seeing them now. Now I'm getting a solid colour on. I'm seeing there's certain areas that just want a little bit of filler. Now I've got some Red Devil one-time quick, fine surface filler. What I'll do, once I've got my coat of paint on, I will just go around anything that I see that needs a little fine surface fill, I will do, because it won't be anything major. Let that dry, and before I come back with the second top coat, I will flash in, just brush a bit of paint over it, so it's take the porosity of the surface of the filler out, and it's primed it. So fingers crossed on that one, and so far so good with that paint. It brushes nicely. I've got no problems that it's going to be a problem with rolling, so we'll see. But yeah, let me crack on. You're holding me up now. Right, my little chickadees. First coat went on a dream. When people say to me it'll go on like a hot knife with butter, it actually went on beautifully. Cutting in, rolling it, no problem whatsoever. Now, I did all that first coat. I did at the back of the radiator, you know, you saw me do that and we spoke about it. Now, I've been doing other stuff in this flat, and in between, once that was all coated up and dried, which it was, probably about an hour it was dry, I've gone around with my fine surface filler. There's certain areas that I could just see indentations. Skimmed over with the fine surface filler, the Red Devil stuff, really good. And then once that had gone off, because it didn't take long, because the indentations were only indentations, nothing massive, I actually just spot primed those areas of filler. Now I've done that, it's all dry. It's probably been, since I finished, it's probably been 3 hours since I first coated everything up. So it says recoatable in 2 hours, 3 hours with bin, everything's dry. I've actually gone around with a fine Merkur Gold Flex, a worn down 150, and just nibbed over the walls in case there was anything that had got left on from the roller or the brush. Nothing, nice. Now I'm going to give it the second coat. Now, fingers crossed it goes on as nice as it did for the first coat. I know some people have mentioned in comments previously that this Benjamin Moore Ben, good to go on first coat, but second coat might pull a bit. And when I say pull, I'm on about it not going on as easy. It feels like it needs a bit of water to it. Now I can tell you that didn't need any water in it when I did the first coat. So I say, keep your fingers crossed that we can get the second coat on with no issues. Is this a paint that's, yeah, dry an hour, recoatable in 2 hours, but could really do with the next day of curing before you put that second coat on? I'm not sure. But on the whole, it's not covered too bad. The opacity and coverage, I'm not on about coverage as in a litre of paint will go, I don't know, 15 square metres. I'm on about the coverage, opacity of what it's actually going on the surface like, and covering to obliterate anything that was underneath, whether it be pencil marks, scuffs of trainer rubber, you know, all bits and pieces like that. I'm looking at it now and I'm not looking at the camera. I can see a little bit of, I'm not saying, no, flocculation's not the right word. If you don't know what flocculation is, please Google flocculation or look at other videos where I've spoke about flocculation. It's not flocculation. I'm seeing a bit of mottling where I might have gone a bit more heavier and not so heavy in certain areas, and it looks a bit patchy. Looks a bit patchy. Just roller patchiness, sorry, roller patchiness. Yeah, on the whole it looks all right. I'm looking at the big wall there. Doesn't look too bad. Let's put it this way. It hasn't covered for one. That's all I'm going to say. It's not covered for one. And we were going over that colour wash that I'd done, 16 years ago. So it was a bit of a golden colour. No, you won't be getting that going for one. Hopefully, let's see what 2 coats are like. Again, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this will go for 2 coats. It better do. I must say though, application wise, it's the nearest thing that I would say application of paint to applying a quality paint. Farrow & Ball. Farrow & Ball goes on beautifully. If you like Farrow & Ball, you'll like it. If you don't, you won't like it and you're probably not usable. Farrow & Ball's got a lovely texture when you're putting the emulsions on. Whether that comes down to the titanium oxide that's in it to make it a better quality paint, because that's what makes paints expensive, the titanium dioxide, titanium oxide. This has got a silky feel to it. I'm feeling the wall like, it feels lovely. I'm feeling the wall behind the camera. It's got a lovely feel to it. It doesn't feel like a vinyl matte. It feels more quality than a vinyl matte. And on that note, I'm going to crack on and get this second coat on, and then we'll do a sum up at the end. See ya. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. My first time of using Benjamin Moore Ben, which is a paint, an interior acrylic paint and primer. Ooh, what does it mean by that? But effortless application, beautiful results. I have to say, when you rub your hand across that, not that I want to be rubbing my dirty hands because I've been touching aluminium step-ups, but when you do touch that, it's got the nearest thing I can say to a proper velvet feel to it. Silky smooth. It's like a silky nightie on your wife, you know, when you can't say that. Really impressed with it. The second coat did pull slightly, didn't need any water to it. That might be a case that it was still drying off, but it was dry because we'd left it 3 hours. Cutting in wasn't a problem with that 2.5 inch from the Arrowworthy slash cut box. Happy with that. My rolling, I'm looking at it. I can't say that it's not a heavy orange peel roll using that Two Fussy Blokes. Is it a 10mm roller, that microfiber roller? So that's gone on well. Coverage wise, and I'm on about coverage for obliteration, quite happy with that. You can see it's a creamy, well, I'll tell you what colour this is. Putnam Ivy, and it's HC39. And that was mixed up for me at Brewers of Mansfield. So actually, colour coverage, not bad at all. Application wise, went on really nice. The finish, I can't see any flashing, and I'm looking across walls behind the camera to the extreme. I'm not really noticing anything. As I said on a previous video, I will go through the whole property looking at each individual paints as and when we've finished, and I'll give a sum up of how they've stood up to other trades coming in, doing the bathroom, doing the kitchen, and also carpet fitters. If it gets marked, I'll have to obviously touch up and things like that. So on the whole, that's not looking bad at all. Would I use it again? You know what, I would love to use that again. Brewers are doing this including VAT, which is obviously a retail over the counter price, just under 60 quid, £59. I say that's including VAT. Don't forget, it's not a full 5 litres. You're short by, does it say on there, it's a 3.7 something or other. It's under 4 litres. So it's a lot of money for not 5 litres, but quality and quantity, you get what you pay for. The other quantities that you can buy it in are just under a litre tin, which we often complain as decorators. I know Dulux years ago, they moved away from, used to be able to get 750s, 500s, 750ml, and they all went to a litre. Sometimes when you're doing a front door, you only want 250ml of paint. You know what I mean? And you're paying for a litre and using an egg cup full. But this is just under a litre. If you want a litre can, it's 0.94 of a litre. That's, I'll tell you how much that is. For that, just under a litre, it's 0.94, and you're looking at 20 quid, including VAT at Brewers. That is on the online price, which they'll honour in store as well, so there's no problem there. So yes, I would use it again. Be nice to use some other colours. I wonder what it's like in white, but on the whole, very impressed with that. I'll say thank you very much for the reach out to say, do you want to try it, Phil? Because I've enjoyed using it, getting to grips with it. I don't think you could fault it. It's actually a quality paint, and quality remembered long after price is forgot. And on that note, there should be some videos coming up there. I'm going to tell you that the woodworking here, I'm going to try the Scuff X, because I've got some of that sample still left. Are the videos up there yet? Should be. So Scuff X is Benjamin Moore as well. You may have heard of that. If not, again, a 4 litre can, just under 4 litres, is £108. It's not cheap. You'll probably get it cheaper some places, but a lot of people are raving about that. Those videos are there. See you on the next one. Thanks for listening.